it's Lisa. I have some photos from our garden this year. 5 small photos. They are, let's see, 2 1/4 by 3 inches. So I just went ahead and cropped these before I had them printed. Print 2 on a 4 by 6 is how I usually print them. So I've got a couple of landscape and 3 portrait ones, and I went ahead and arranged them here how I'm going to do them on the sketch. Okay, this is kind of an unusual sketch because it doesn't, it's sort of, the title is sort of all over the place. It depends on whether you want to consider the title these wood words or the title as this part here. So it's just, I don't know quite how this is going to work out, but we're going to see. Anyway, I am using from Basic Gray a collection called Herbs and Honey that came out this spring, and I bought this knowing that we were going to have some garden stuff and thinking that we would go to the farmer's market a lot. Well, we haven't been to the farmer's market very much this year for one reason or another, and so I haven't done a whole lot with these papers, but I am wanting to do some photos from our garden. I also got the chipboard. Fortunately, the chipboard is stuff that you could use for anything. Plant kindness, gather love. There's a thank you one, cool as a cucumber. I mean, you could use these on lots of happiest days. You could use these on lots of different pages. So, and there's a lot of fruit ones, and we didn't grow fruit. In fact, peaches kind of, we had a light frost here that killed all the peaches. So these are not, I don't think, going to work out for this particular layout. So I think I'm going to save those for other projects. But I also got from Studio Calico this wood veneer that is garden and farm themed, and it also has a lot of fruit in it, but it has these words. So I decided that things like garden, grow, and fresh, and harvest would work really well with my photos, because I have a couple of photos of things as they're maturing, and then when the plants, the tomatoes and cantaloupes and watermelon got ripe. We don't have a big garden, just grow a few things around here. I also got a couple of pieces of the 12 by 12, so I'm looking at using those on the layout, and I'm trying to talk myself into taking this one big piece of striped paper that I have and using a lot of it on this particular layout. I think it would look really good. What I thought I'd do is go ahead and get my journaling trimmed down here. I printed the journaling out on a 6 by 6 from another collection. I don't remember what collection this came from. I just had broken this down and put it in my neutrals drawer. So I went ahead and printed it out, and it says crop report. I'm going to put the year above this, 2014. So like I said, the title is kind of all over the place, but I want this to be almost like an almanac page, so it kind of tells what happened in this particular year, and it takes a little bit of fun at my husband because he actually staked the tomato plant, one tomato plant this year, and it was the best one he's ever had. I'm always after him to stake the tomato plants up instead of them wandering all over the patio. So anyway, I put that in here, and I've got some good pictures and a couple of 6 by 6 papers that I really liked. So I kind of have it pretty much pulled together. One thing I put that looked good when I was creating the sketch was having maybe some twine going around here, but I'm not sure I want to wrap twine around this or not. I can't decide. I have this little watermelon piece. So I don't think it's going to take too long to pull this layout together. And I'm going to go ahead and trim down these words and some papers and get started. So I trimmed down my 12 by 12 stripe piece to 11 inches, and that left me with a couple of pieces left over that I can use for another project. And what I'm going to do is cut the middle out of this green, since I'm not going to need all that paper. There'll only be the edge showing. I do this a lot of times when I have a full sheet of pattern paper that I really like and I want to maybe use it on another project. Especially heavy papers like these, it's not going to hurt anything at all for it to not have the 2 sheets for a backing. So I'll just need to glue them around after I do some distressing with Vintage Photo Distress Ink around the edges of that paper, and also I want to go around the other sheets that I'm going to put on the top of the layout. I end up with this a little bit towards the top. It's just what looked good with the green pattern. And that's where I decided that I needed, after I'm going to trim down crop report, and I needed to do some distressing around everything. Now I'm figuring out these words. My idea here is to have them the upper left corner and lower right on each section. So they're sort of scattered out. Again, they're not intended to be the title. I think the title should be 2014 Crop Report, but and that area of the page is getting a little heavy. I was thinking of using this paper that's kind of like a little almanac over there, but I decided that I needed something in the upper right hand corner to sort of balance all this instead of it being a diagonal arrangement to have 4 sections. So I like this paper a lot, and I could put some more of these wood pieces out there, but I've got a lot of those. So I'm coming back to the basic gray chipboard that I didn't think I'd use. I have the peach because it's part of the story, since my husband tries peaches every year, but usually the squirrels get them. This year the frost got them, so the squirrels didn't even have a chance either. And when I refer to our garden, I really should refer to it as his garden because he does all the work. I just pick things and eat them. In fact, he does even most of the picking. So I've got my photos here. I rearranged them a little bit so that the word harvest wouldn't end up covering up anything important. And they're going to hang off the edge of that 6x6, and that was planned. That was part of the sketch. And I do think I'll add a little twine, just one wrapping around of twine tied in a bow down there at the bottom. Sort of a rustic look. And we're going to keep it in place good with just a piece of washi on the back, and then I'll glue the whole thing down. And it hangs over onto the green border a little bit, and that's part of the sketch. I knew I didn't have tons of room down there at the bottom for all these elements, but I felt like I had enough white space on the layout with each of these sections. Even with adding something in the upper right hand corner, I don't think it's going to be overly crowded. The thickers are, of course, American Crafts, and they have kind of a little bit of a corrugated feel to them. They're plasticky, but they're still kind of a corrugated look, so I think they work well with this. I'm going to trim down this, and then I will put a piece of the basic gray chipboard on top of it. Because I don't think I'm going to use the watermelon slice. I feel like I just have enough of those wood veneer pieces, which I leave natural. And the crop report journaling there, numbered list, enabled me to get a lot of journaling in on this page. And I'll glue those wood pieces on. I don't do that on camera, but they'll just be glued on with some Tombow adhesive. And I've been challenged by the way they package the chipboard things. I just have to take them out, and I end up with them all over the place. I haven't really found the best way to take them out, look at them, and put them back in yet. I like the fresh produce. And I really like this one. It's Plant Kindness, Gather Love. The only thing is it's pointing to the right. If I could, I would go back and flip the layout and have that on the left-hand side, so it's pointing towards the middle. And I briefly tried to pull these papers up, but they are stuck good. So there's no point in trying to do that. I'll just make a mess. Now what I'm looking for, I would love to have on there some little tomatoes, because that goes with the story of staking the tomatoes, and since that's this little stake. So I really would love to have some little tomatoes, and I head off to my Cricut, or excuse me, my Silhouette. I keep still calling it a Cricut. Silhouette, and I cut out this little vine, this very tiny little vine I already had. I have thought a little bit about using some twine and some enamel dots, but I just didn't think, you know, it would really show up as tomatoes. So I downloaded a tomato die cut image. I chose the simplest one I could get, so that, because I was going to be cutting them very small. I think I've reached the limit here of how small the silhouette will cut something. It's definitely as small as I can handle gluing. I ended up cutting a lot of that out of the video because my head was in the way so much and you couldn't see it, but I had to use tweezers to handle the top of the tomato, and I still have my head in the way. I'm sorry. There we go. We're trimming off the very bottom of that, and then I'm just using the tweezers to assemble the little tomatoes. It didn't take that long, just a few minutes to pull those together, but they really are part of telling the story. Because we did have a really good crop of tomatoes this year, or my husband did. It's been a wonderful growing season here this summer. Okay, and here is our completed page. We varied from the sketch by putting something up here in the upper right hand corner. So I had this sort of diagonal, and then I put this in, and I needed to balance it. And I really like it much better with the 4 sections because it's more balanced, and it's also just a different style for me. So I like that. So let's take some close-ups here of this design. As I say, I may add a little bit of green marker to this when it dries. Cover up some of that white cut part there. We have quite a bit of journaling on this page and just a few other simple embellishments, and used quite a bit of the paper, but we still have, because we cut out the center, we still have a fair amount of the green and a couple of the stripe pieces that I can put on another layout, as well as a lot of this paper. And this paper goes really well with this new paper from Cartabella called Autumn Afternoon. Autumn Afternoon and the colors in this basic gray herbs and honey are wonderful together. So I've got some more 12 by 12 that I can stretch this 6 by 6 pad out. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope you'll check out my other videos and see what things that I have going on. I have some classes and different PDFs and that type of thing that are available over on my blog. So if you like the layout, I always love to get a thumbs up, and I love to read your comments and questions. Thanks. Bye.